Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, performed this afternoon by Peter Griffin and his dirt bike.
This is Nick Way from DeWitt, and you're listening to DMXS Radio.
Welcome back to DMXS Radio, y'all. Make sure you check out our pods with Adam Cincerello, Cooper Webb, RJ Hampshire that we just dropped. And huge thanks to our sponsors who make all this possible. We couldn't do it without them. Ride Dunlop Tires, Racer X, MX Sports, OGO, Concept 2, Rowers, and of course, Dunlop again, at Ride Dunlop for all their socials. A good friend, finally catch up with him that's fire off this season with a red plate after 4 rounds, Jordon Smith. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
Man, I'm just catching up with you. Being a girl dad, how old is Blair now?
She is 15 months.
15 months. So your whole life and perspective on everything you knew before being a dad has completely changed, and now she's past a year old. So what is that like? I mean, this year is completely different, traveling with a child and just having, looking through life through their eyes.
Yeah. Well, first off, I never thought that I would be saying that my kid is 15 months. I was always like, why do parents say months,
that's funny.
But no, I mean, it's like a huge difference. 14 to 15 months, like they're completely different kids. So
wow.
You got to specify. So no, but it's good. It's like you said, it's a completely different life now. Traveling with her to the races and. Yeah, it makes things a lot tougher sometimes, but overall it's more fun, I would say. Just making memories that you're going to remember. It's pretty cool, and it's definitely can be stressful at times, though.
I had a long conversation with Ellie Reed a long time ago when all her kids were real young, and she was just so stressed. She got to Atlanta and just had a horrible flight. All the kids were just having a horrible day, and it was all that stuff. And she's just like, why can't people just cut mothers traveling with babies some slack? And it's so true. Ever since that conversation, I actually had an Atlanta to California where I had a screaming infant in my ear for the entire 4. I remember thinking, okay, she's right, because those mothers don't want the kids to scream. It's almost one of those things. And so when it's full circle and it's your kid, you're like, man, I wish I had some more patience, 5 years ago when I was trying to get some rest coming home from Anaheim when I was 20 years old in a factory rider.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's I think that's really like, as far as going to the races and everything is flying is definitely the most stressful, because once you're on there, like, you're stuck in that tube, and it doesn't, like, you don't know how they're going to act. And like, it's like 90% of the time she does really good, but it's like that 10%. Or like, and we really haven't even had like any like bad experiences flying yet.
Good.
Knock on wood. But it's like, you just know the point that they're at, like, where they can't communicate what they want really. And like, if they just really throw a tantrum, you're like, oh man, this could be bad. But so far it's been good. Last week she was teething pretty bad, like kind of leading up to the race, but Katie and Blair stayed out in California in between San Diego and A2.
Okay.
So luckily we didn't have to fly out there, or else that probably would have been a rough flight, because she was not doing very good. Right. But by the time we flew home Sunday, she was feeling better. So it can definitely be more stressful for sure.
If you were wearing a heart monitor, what would your heart rate be when she starts crying on a plane? Would it be like going through the whoops, like you get nervous?
It would probably be like the same as sitting on the line. Like, I think I feel like that same anxiety as sitting on the line before a race. It's like you don't know what's going to happen.
That's the first turn and babies on airplanes are the exact same stress level for a rider.
Exactly. Yep.
Hey, what the hell happened to our fantasy golf league? It just went away. I mean,
disappeared. It did. I mean, man, we had, like, I think that we started that in like 2018, I believe.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we had like a solid, 4 or 5 years. I mean, it was pretty good run. Good times. But it really started fizzling out last year. And I think the 24 season, and people are just like, nope.
Everybody's got kids now. I swear to God, think about it. Think about how many people just had babies in the last 2 years. Babies have ruined fantasy golf, our league, for sure. Cause it's like, I got shit to do. I can't worry about my picks, man. I got to get this kid to bed.
Yep, man. And maybe if there's only one golf league, we'd be better off. But
let's just do majors or something. Yeah, we can just do majors. Hey,
we got to bring it back to the majors for sure.
Hey, how did it feel getting back on dry dirt, even though half of it was still wet somehow? But that had to be good to get back to say, let's see where we really stand after 3 rounds.
Yeah, it was good. I feel like coming into the season, it was for me. Felt like this is kind of a make it or break it year, I guess you could say. Like, I felt like everything's been clicking. I had a great off season. Almost every other off season of my career, I feel like I've been somewhat banged up at some point during it. So this year was kind of a breath of fresh air, kind of coming in pretty good. Last year I came in good too, but just feeling the most prepared I ever had, and really feeling like this is the time to get it done, So going, out of A1, getting second felt really good. And then you go into a mud race at San Fran, and I was just like, I have not had good results in the mud. I was so nervous, but obviously came out good there. Came out pretty good at San Diego, so I was happy to get through those two and get into A2, and then it felt good to get on dry dirt, like you said. But man, I just lost my starts over the weekend. Yeah,
you could not buy a start, and that's the worst night to have that. With Triple Crowns is all about the sprint.
Yeah, it is. And the one start I did get in the second one, I think I would have probably came out around second. Behind Phil there, I went down, RJ and I kind of got together a little bit and went down in the first turn, and I'm just like, oh no, here we go. It's like, I just worked my butt off in that first moto to come from dead last to fourth, and I'm like, here we go. And then I think like 2 laps into it, I got together. I'm not 100% sure. It was someone on a Cowie. I think it was Max Stanford. Yeah. And he like kind of slid out before the whoops, and he didn't crash, but he came like all the way across the track and cleaned my front wheel out. So I was like down going into the whoops, and I'm like, basically we're already 3 minutes into a 10-minute race, and I'm literally, I think the only person behind me was Oldenburg, and I'm just like, man, this is not good, but I was able to pretty much salvage what I could. That last moto, wish I could have got a better start there too, but I didn't. And I needed to try and beat Nate and Shimoda in that one, but Nate obviously got off to a good start and rode a great race, and Shimoda was kind of right there in front of me, but I just honestly didn't have much energy left in the tank by that third main from coming from the back.
And there was no place on that track to pass. I mean, it was, so it wasn't one of those ones you could easily, find a couple different lines that come through. Everybody's doing the same thing. You'd have to be kind of aggressive in some of those turns to get your pass or in the whoops. And that was pretty much it.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, for me, it got harder to pass throughout the night because everyone started jumping the whoops, and that was kind of a big equalizer there. Those weren't like tough whoops to jump. So, I think that kind of became a little bit of an equalizer where, like, in the first main, I was making up, a lot of the guys that I was passing, 14th, 15th, 10th, all those guys, like I was probably making up 3/4 of a second a lap just in the two whoop sections, or possibly even more, know? So if I got to someone that was kind of stuck behind, I would just try and stay on their wheel till I got to the whoop section, boom, pick off a pass there and just try to keep going like that. But as we started jumping the whoops, it got tougher and tougher. So, it was kind of a weird track, a lot of like flat turns, those rollers before that second set of whoops was kind of weird. And, was kind of, that's like stuff where I feel like sometimes they try and be a little bit creative there, but it just makes it almost like more one line, like maybe if we had a flat turn, you could maybe square someone up or, something
Turn
going
down.
into that second set of whoops. But with those rollers there, it just kind of funnels everyone into the same line.
I know with SMX, they want everybody to survive Supercross and the Nationals and get into the finals and stuff like that. But do you miss the 16, 17 whoop sections, like in the domes and the football stadiums in the old days where it was just like literally 70, 60 yards of whoops?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like nowadays, I don't know if it's how they build them or what, or if it's just purely the four strokes, but the whoops get so tore up. Like it doesn't really matter how big they are nowadays. Like they get so tore up. Like it doesn't matter how small they start, unless you start just like even the first set this weekend, they were so soft. Like we just kind of got a rut down the middle, but as long as they don't get that rut, like they get so gnarly, it doesn't matter how small they start out. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of whoops. The more whoops, the bigger, the better for me. Not that I necessarily, just want to hit gnarly whoops all day long,
Fourth gear pin,
I do feel like it's a separator for me.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever gotten a start like Sexton did the other week where he jumped the gate and got away with it? I mean, that was
no, I have not.
Oh man. Cause I watched the slow-mo of that and it's even more amazing in slow-mo because, have you ever been stuck in a gate?
I have not very often, but I have.
Okay, so
I have a couple times.
He was within just, milliseconds of being stuck in a gate. But that has to be such a cool feeling to like be a bike length out before your back tire goes over the gate.
Yeah. I guess I did get one start kind of like that at Nashville last year. I was lined up beside Hunter Lawrence and he flinched a little bit. And whenever he flinched, I started going. And as I started going, the gate dropped. I think it was a similar thing to Chase. Like, I think that if you watch it, AP flinched a little bit at San Fran.
Okay.
And Sexton started going, and it just happened to be it's crazy that our brains can process that, okay, the gate's actually dropping. Let's keep going.
Right. As opposed to pulling the clutch. Hey, what happened to your starts? I mean, I know it's a mental thing. It's a traction thing. What happened at the Triple Crown where you just couldn't buy a start?
Yeah. My starts have been really good. Like all year, like off season, I've been getting really, really good starts. And that was something that last year I wasn't, even at practice. Like I just wasn't consistently getting great starts, and I have been all year. And, I don't know. I got there, I wheelied. I didn't get a good start in we get the one practice start and qualifying 2. And I didn't get a good start there either. I wheelied pretty bad in the first main. I don't know if I was worried about wheeling from that or what the deal was, but I double clutched it really bad. Like before I even got off the grate, I pulled the clutch in again, and that was not good. And then the second start actually had a good one. And then went down in the first turn. And then the third start, I actually had a good jump and out of the gate, but there was a little bit of a mound out there. I'm not really sure what it was from, but there was a little bit of a mound. And whenever I hit that, I wheelied a little bit and just had to clutch it again.
Okay.
And Levi was on my inside, and he got a really good start. And just I got boxed from him and boxed from the outside, and I basically had to just brake super hard in that first turn. A lot of guys went around me. Hopefully we'll have it figured out for Glendale.
How many practice starts you do a week? Like, I have no idea. Like, do you spend a whole half a day, just like a dozen a day? Like, how many practice starts you do a week?
Yeah, I would say on average, we probably do around 5 starts a day.
Okay. So every day
it kind of depends. Like, I'm kind of a believer, and for me, like, it's a lot of feel. So if I start trying to overanalyze my starts or start doing too many of them,
it's like a golf swing. If you break down your golf swing,
focusing too much on it, they kind of can go away sometimes.
Okay.
So I try to just do enough. Like, if I'm feeling good with them, I try to just do enough to like keep the feel of like the clutch release and that kind of stuff. I try to not overdo it. But if I'm struggling with my starts, I'll definitely go out there. I mean, I may do 20, 30 starts in a day if I'm struggling with them, you know? So, but I try to just do the starts I need to do and call it good.
Hey, this is, you have to earn this before you can even worry about it. But is the red plate pressure, is that a real thing?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely more pressure, but at the same time, like I've said a couple of times this year, it's like I came into the season and I was, you know, already like that was the goal, right? And like I already had that pressure. Like I felt like I could win. The team knew that I could win. Like I've been riding really good at the track. My fitness is really good. I'm not getting arm pump. Like everything was really good. So I had that pressure from the start, I think. And now I don't really feel like there's any added pressure. Maybe the first weekend a little bit, but now it's just kind of normal. And that's, you know, the goal is just to try and keep that. So it definitely changes though. You know, last year, 4 rounds in, I was already out of the championship. So, and no wins. It's definitely, you know, there's more pressure. And even, in 2017, if you would have asked me whenever I had the red plate going into the last round, if you'd have asked me after 4 rounds, if I had a shot at the championship, I probably would have said no. You know,
wow.
I think I had only had 1 podium after 4 rounds, and was probably, I don't know, maybe 16 to 20 points behind Zacho at the time. And then he ended up having that bad round where, he had spokes out of his front wheel,
That's
I think,
right,
I won. So that got me right back into it, you know? So, I mean, being this good from the start, definitely more pressure, but, that's kind of what I prepared for this off season and was expecting coming into it.
I know, even though you're tied for the lead going in, how much sweeter is that going into the break, still having the red plate? Because if you'd lost that by 1 point, I mean, just sitting on that over the break, this has to feel a little bit better, even though you had an off night at A2, considering.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's good. I mean, like you said, I could have been a lot worse at A2 for sure. It was definitely an off night, but was able to salvage still a 5th place.
Yeah,
and
that's what you
know.
do.
I mean, if that's my worst night, then I think we'll be okay. So just try and keep grinding and not make those little mistakes on the starts again, and try to, you know, open up another points lead. So, but the guys are riding good, man. It's going to be a battle between me, Levi, and RJ. I think
for sure.
We're all riding good. We all have different strengths, I think. And, but, you know, I think one thing is we're all pretty solid at everything as far as, you know, whoops, starts, all that stuff goes. Like we've all been up front a lot. We all pretty solid in the whoops. And, so it's going to be a dogfight for sure.
The one thing RJ has is that he will throw the last 4 laps of a race. He will ride at 125%. Like he could finish 1st or 6th with 6 laps to go, and there's no doubt. Hey, can you see those green leader lights when they're on your bike, like when they're lit up?
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's actually kind of like, obviously in a race, like if you're leading, you probably know that you're in the lead. But it's kind of cool. I haven't in my career been P1 very often in practice.
Yeah.
But I have been up there a few times. And so as soon as you cross the finish line on a lap, if you go to P1, your lights light up. So you're like, you don't even have to look at the board. You're like, I got it. I'm good. You know, and then like as you're going around, but you don't need to look at the board to see, or your pit board or anything to see if like someone's passed you. Like if your lights are still on, you probably still have the fastest time. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is neat. Hey, I know they made a big deal about your first wins in 2008 because of all your last couple seasons with injuries and stuff. But I mean, that
2018,
to me,
not 2008.
18. I was going to say, oh my God, that would be even more. You'd be like Lewinovich, just like like 43 years old, just killing it out there. But what for me, that's just you. You're just you mentioned earlier in the interview about make it or break it seasons. You've had several, and your perseverance continues because with all of the stuff you've been through, man. A lot of people would have given up, Jordon, and you being right back into this, leading the points after 4 rounds, going into this, your last one in 2018. Damn, dude, that defines who you are and where you've come from and your blue collar upbringing and getting to this point.
Yeah, man, it's tough to go from those years in 2017, 2018, going into 2019, whenever you're leaving the track and getting second or thirds, and you're not happy, and then 6 years later getting your next win. It's a long time. Wow. And man, like I said, there's been so many like hard times, and just it's been tough. There's been some tough times with injuries and all that, and times that I wanted to give up and wanted to quit, but that's just not in my blood. So I had to keep going and keep pushing. And luckily I had a really good support crew around me, and had some good opportunities come my way, and whenever I needed them the most. And after all the injuries on PC, and then losing my PC ride and no other factory teams picking me up, and then
Firepower,
going to the Firepower team, that was earlier in my career, I probably would have said if I lost the factory ride, I would probably be done, but I still felt like I had some left in the tank, and I still believed in myself. I had people that believed in me, including, Yarif and the guy at Martine and Firepower.
Sure.
And they gave me a second chance there to kind of rebuild my career. And it worked out too with putting in some solid rides that year, and then getting the opportunity with Star, and those guys have believed in me since day one, since I signed with the team. And it's been a pretty cool story, and I think it'll be a great whether we get it done or not. The plan is to get it done, but I think it'll be a cool story either way to tell whenever I'm a little bit older, and just shows how my parents raised me, and how tough that I am, like, mentally, and trying to overcome all this.
Hell yes. And this second year on your bike, there's things are going better. Star Racing, premier team in the pits, their facilities, their infrastructure, everything behind the scenes is made to build champions. I mean, and so you have everything going, having that team behind you, getting to this point in your career and having that type of a ride. All arrows pointing up.
Yep. It's good, man. It's the team's awesome. Like you said, the infrastructure that they got down here at the farm, and the tracks, and their willingness to do whatever it takes is just really second to none. Whenever I look back at all the teams that I've been on, I think Mitch has a pretty similar mindset to getting, doing whatever he needs to win. But they really will. It doesn't matter what you want to test, how you want to test it. You let them know, they'll get it ready. Even today, I feel like this year I've been struggling in the whoops a little bit more than I did last year. We have a new chassis this year.
A new chassis.
This one turns really, really good, but we haven't quite figured out that fine line in the whoops. It's really, really good whenever they're smooth, but whenever they start getting a little bit more chewed up, I've been struggling a little bit. So today, after training, we got the whoop track prepped up, one of the big sets of whoops on it, and I just went out there and I hit whoops probably
wow.
I probably went through this one set like 50 or 60 times.
Holy shit, and,
Jordon! Just me just tearing them up, and I was trying to hit the same line, because that's what is whenever I'm starting to struggle, is whenever they get cupped out. So I was just hitting the same cupped out gnarly line over and over again, and just taking the shock on, putting it back, taking it off, putting it back on, and trying this setting, trying that. And, they're all out there helping me and
that's awesome.
and seeing what we can figure out. So it's, they really do, whatever it takes. And I think that like Brad, Jeremy, those guys that have really built that program, is what they do really well is that they really pay attention to detail on small things that, you may typically overlook or other people may overlook, but they really, I would say, almost overthink it sometimes on things, like whether it be the mud races and doing this or doing that, like being like, not necessarily like overcautious, but like almost overcautious, like overcautious on things or overthinking on things, but like it's in a good way,
That's being
like
prepared.
where other people may not think about those things, they are. So I think that's what has made them so successful as well.
I know you have a ton of people down there. Who do you ride with most days? Like, who do you train with on the track most days?
Yeah, most days it is. Well, you got the 450 guys, Jay Coop and Cooper. You got me, Nate, Deegan, Dax, Lopes.
That's what I mean.
Romano, Styles, Gavin Towers. I think that's it. I don't know if I'm.
I mean, you guys all the track at the same time, like just racing.
We do everything together. We do all our motos.
Shit.
We have pretty much. It's a little bit different whenever you got the East Coast and the West Coast guys. We're on a little bit different schedules, but for the most part, we do everything together. The track gets chewed up pretty quick.
I bet.
And then yesterday actually we had the MTF crew came out and rode with us. So we had another. Barsha was out there and Anstey, and then you had all the MTF guys, like Luca Marshallisi, Marcus Phelps, TJ Albright, and then another
that's a national gate
of other guys that are like, some of the guys are like amateurs, like getting used to Supercross and stuff, and they came out and rode too. So the track was like a racetrack yesterday, needless to say. Oh my gosh! So you're on the track with the 450 guys. That's a normal thing. That's wild. Yeah. Okay. We normally, we'll kind of do like a warm up, and then we'll kind of throw down like a fast lap to try to kind of see the order that we're going to start in. And sometimes it could be fastest to slowest. Sometimes it could be slowest to fastest. So you just kind of never know. They'll kind of throw a curveball in there sometimes, but so you never know. Like, I mean, I could be starting first. I could be starting right in front of Cooper, or I could be starting. I could be, it's all our times are so close. Like if they start fastest to slowest, like one day I could be first, and the next day I could be literally like fifth or sixth. Right. You never know. So, and we typically only get like one shot at the lap time. So if you make a mistake or something, you're like, dang it. Like if you know that you're going to be going fast and you make a mistake and you're like, dang, I'm going to be eating roost in this whole moto. That can suck. But I think that's good too. Like sometimes you don't want to be eating roost, but it makes you a little uncomfortable, and you're going to have those situations at the races. Coming through the pack. I mean, you grew up at MTF, so this is, you guys had knives out the whole time. Does it ever get frisky like at MTF? I mean, is it like everybody just play nice, or is it you get aggressive to get through the pack? Most of the time it's pretty chill, most of the time, but you never know. I think outdoors would get a little bit more frisky sometimes, just because like on Supercross, everyone's so close a lot of times tight. That, we kind of funnel into where we're at. And, but on outdoors, it can be really, the practice tracks can get pretty one line sometimes. So if we start slowest to fastest, it can be pretty frustrating sometimes if you're stuck behind someone. Right. So, it can get a little aggressive sometimes. So most of the time we keep it pretty PG. you and Deegan good after all that? That was a year ago, but everything good with you guys? Yeah, we're all good. Everything's good at the farm. We're training together. Like I said, it's, you never know. He could be starting right in front of me. I could be starting right in front of him. We could be starting with four guys in between us. So, we're all good. Who's nicer, Bobby or Colleen Millsaps? Bobby's been pretty nice. I mean, what? Come on, they're both nice. Yeah. But Bobby, I don't have any too crazy Bobby stories. But I mean, he can really lay into you sometimes. But he's pretty good. I like Bobby a lot. It's all good. It's fun. He's funny, man. Like he says some funny stuff up in the truck. It's a good time.
Well, that's cool because here's the thing: is a lot of people have mentioned going to ride for Bobby, and they're not used to being yelled at. You grew up at Colleen's place, dude. You're like, this is nothing. This is like a Monday to me.
Yep.
This is a Monday.
No, I think that. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know, but I mean, I've only been around for a year and a half now. But I think that maybe he used to be more gnarly from some of the stories that I heard.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, he can still be pretty gnarly sometimes. So he's pretty straightforward too. He's not scared to say it how he sees it, for sure.
Hey, you've done this a bunch with obviously riding 250s with the brakes. So what have you found is the best recipe for you with the long Supercross brake? Do you keep everything the same? Do you try to change it up? I mean, what's your deal?
Yeah, I mean, well, for the most part, I've done way more East Coast than West Coast. Mm-hmm. And whenever you're racing East, you really don't get that long of a break, you know? It's more of like,
that is true.
Get going,
yeah.
And then you have like a weekend or two off, you know? Mm-hmm. Where this, we literally have like, I think it's 5 weekends, basically 6 weeks before we go racing again after Glendale. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's definitely good to go ahead and get on some outdoors and mix it up a bit. Maybe, you know, if you're in a championship fight, you don't want to, you know, be going too crazy on outdoors. But I think that the speed with outdoors and riding the ruts and stuff, I think that helps. I think that me racing some outdoors last year, even though I only got to do 4, is part of what really helped me going into like SMX and like kind of take that next step, because it had been so many years since I raced outdoors before that, you know, I had kind of forgot that, like, that skill of like riding the ruts and stuff, which will help even in Supercross. So, yeah, I think it'll be good to get on some outdoors. I'm kind of excited for that. You get training on the Supercross tracks and you're just like pounding laps, and it's kind of good to switch it up because they can get kind of boring sometimes. So,
and cardio wise, is cardio wise, like, do you, I know it's you're sprinting more with Supercross, although your motos are pretty long with the lap time, but is it like, do you find yourself, it's easier to ride outdoors? It's not as hard on you cardio wise, or do you find it opposite where the outdoors, like, you know, find some weaknesses in your cardio?
Yeah, for outdoors, I think more like you get more like muscular tired, at least like for me, compared to Supercross, where like Supercross, I have a much higher heart rate than I will in an outdoor moto. So, yeah, I think that your breathing and like your high intensity cardio is more important in Supercross, where once you get to outdoors, it's like, you know, if you do 130-minute moto a day, like I'll be able to do that no problem, you know, but then you add in like a practice and then 2 30+2s. And by the end of that second 30+2, like your hands are hurting. You're way more tired. Like physically, you're just like, you don't want to stand up off the seat, you know, where like Supercross, I don't really get that like physically tired. It's more of like
just hummingbird heart rate. Yeah.
Yeah, just pinging the heart rate off the maximum. So, yeah, it's just kind of a different dynamic. But it's usually, for me, it's harder to go into Supercross than it is whenever you switch over to outdoors. Like, it's kind of, you're already pretty solid base by then. Okay. So.
Hey, I know Savacci got a lot of press with his take on the 250 moving up rules, and they've obviously recently changed them and all that stuff. I mean, in your opinion, what is your take, and what is the most fair? You've seen it go through 3, possibly 4 changes since you've been riding. What is fair, and what do you think about the rules now?
Yeah, I mean, the rules, they are what they are. I think that, for me, I think that it's good to be able to stay in the class for longer. It's how I make my living. And it's if I had to move up to the 450 class tomorrow, maybe, or like, let's say if I had to a year or 2 ago, like probably would be done racing, or at least not necessarily done racing, but I wouldn't be getting paid to race at that point, know? So, I think it's good for us to stay in the 250 class. Just there's not that many rides in the 450, it's tough. Like everyone is really, really good. And, I've heard a lot about, making the 250s a 17 round series. I don't think that I would be completely opposed to that. I think that there's pros and cons to that with, some cons being that, teams may not feel 5, 6 guys because,
That's a
you
lot.
don't need
Yep.
that many
Right.
with only one coast, basically, with only one series. So that I think that would just take away more rides than what there already are. So I think it's pretty good how it is right now. I definitely think that that if the rule is changed, I think that Joey and Shane should be allowed back into the class personally.
Grandfathered it, yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I really haven't put a ton of thought into it, but off the top of my head, that's how I feel about it. Just basically, if someone else like me or RJ has had, the same amount of years above the points threshold that they have, what allows us in the class and not them,
Right.
So I think that, especially with, obviously Joey's now moved to Triumph. He seems like he has a pretty good deal going there. So that's good for him. But shoot, he spent some time without a ride and basically without a job, so it's hard to, you have a lot of fans, and I see it all over social media this year, with me and RJ, and they're, they should move up to 450 and they're sandbagging. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, those guys that are saying that probably wouldn't, in their current job, they probably wouldn't take a promotion to a harder job in their company or whatever they work for
less money,
to make less money, or maybe not even make any money at all. And then if they don't over excel, they're going to be fired in a year anyways,
That's
where
a great way to
just
put it.
Stay in their job, make the more money and then have it and keep having a job, and then get the promotion maybe 3 or 4 years later on down the road whenever they're more ready for it,
Right.
So it's definitely a tough situation. I think that it works pretty good how it is now. And, you have the guys that like Jet and that, they come in, they win and they move up and that's good. And, obviously if I could do that, that's what my goal would be. My goal is to be in the 450 class and racing for podiums in that class, but it just hasn't worked out that way. And, you see someone like Austin Fortner, in 2019, he started the season winning 5 races in a row. And, the rumor was that he had signed a 450 deal that year and stuff and was pretty much primed to go to the 450 class. But look at him now, it's like been really rough for him and with injuries. And I went through the same thing, and it would suck if he was forced to move up to the 450 class and didn't get a chance to try and rebuild his career, So I think that, it's tough. There's pros and cons to both sides.
Well, the thing is, and I always say this is, you don't mess with 3 things: a man's woman, his money, or his religion. And you don't tell people what, you can't mess with somebody's money. And if there aren't opportunities to move up and continue to make a living, I mean, the turnover would just be ridiculous. I mean, having people move up to a 450 class and then go to oblivion, because people don't realize this. And Jordon, you can say, is that you move up and you ride for free. You ride for bonuses, or you ride for whatever that, for your gear company, whatever. It's basically all the same risk, bigger bike, higher competition, and you don't even know if you're going to make money. I mean, that to me makes no sense.
Yep. And that's the thing. Like, I've never had a offer to race a 450 offer, like from a team or anything,
Right.
So like, that's never been an option for me. So like anyone that says that, you should move up, it's like, well, what do you want me to do? Go buy my own bike
Right.
and go race on my own dime, I love racing, but at the end of the day, it's just how I make my money, how I support my family and stuff, So
didn't y'all have a long ride from the pits to San Francisco Stadium? Like, wasn't that like that's how far privateers have to park every race. It's like you don't want to be doing your own deal. And have
another thing that I was going to say is that I think that also, you have your guys like Jet, that come in, his first year wasn't the best. Like, obviously he did really good, but he didn't come out right straight away winning,
right.
And he made that progression, and his first year that he won the title, he was pretty good. Obviously, in the second year, he was a lot better, Well, I think that you also, by keeping the older guys in there longer, you have to be really good to go out and win a championship. Like you don't just luck into it. Where I feel like if they moved it, like say there was an age limit that you had to be under, then, you wouldn't give guys would be winning championships before they were ready to move up
without competition. Yeah, you're right. Because the depth of the field would be a lot less. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, you move up, you have someone win a championship at 19 years old, whenever, maybe they wouldn't have won a championship if there was some older guys there. And now they're forced to move to the 450 class because they just won a championship.
Yeah, good point.
But they're not ready for it. And now, they get hurt a bunch on the 450 and their career's over, or they just don't do good. Their career's over because guys aren't moving out of the 450 class. No one's retiring. You got the same guys in there that have been in there for the last 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, Yeah. So there's not very many guys moving out. So where are all these guys going to go moving in? And so to me, it's professional supercross at the 250 and the 450 level. So we're all pros. If they want to have a feeder class, then make an amateur feeder class, something similar to like the futures or something,
Sure.
But we're all pros. So you got to race the best of the best, and no matter what class you're in.
That was a really good point. I mean, you made that was actually made me, a little bit thought provoking. So that's actually a really good point. I actually wrote that down about the thing about the job moving up, because to me, it's one of those things where if there were, vacancies in the 450s factory rides, or even, really good privateer teams, and that would be, but it's not, and you can't compete against those, uber almost works levels of, support on a 450 on a privateer level and expect to succeed. So, good points on that. Hey, we got the Dunlop 5 questions and let you get out of here. Make sure you guys just check them out on all their socials at Ride Dunlop. Single over a table. What do you call that?
A single, or are you saying like a triple or a quad?
Yes. People, that's a big controversy now. So
single over table over single, it's a quad. Quad.
Okay. What do you think about people that say that that's not a quad because it's filled in?
Well, it's not a triple either. So I don't mean you can call it whatever, but I don't think you can call it a triple. I think the easiest thing is just to call it a quad, or if you want to call it something else, maybe we can come up with a new name for it. Maybe we can come up with a universal new name, and everyone will be happy.
That'll never happen, Jordan. What are you, insane?
No,
Nobody will ever be happy. All right. Do you wear Crocs?
No, I don't think I've ever owned a pair of Crocs.
Okay. Does your dad wear them? Like old people?
He has. I don't know if he has them right now, but he has at some point. Yes.
Okay. Because RJ got a bunch of shit for saying he wears Crocs on the last show. So hey, I'm all for it. And Cincerello said he wears Skechers golf shoes because his feet are so messed up, and he gets shit for that. But I'm like, dude, wear what's comfortable. I don't care about that. All right. Do you prefer football, baseball, or speedway tracks? Like your favorite to race?
Let's see. I would say football, just for the layout, kind of traditional. I've won in all of them, so
yeah.
I do enjoy the speedways. So I enjoy the speedways most of the time.
Okay. Your favorite? I was going to say favorite Vince Freeze stories, but I'm going to say, what is your favorite Colleen Millsap's story? And give me a good one that people be like. A lot of people that are listening don't understand the legacy of this woman in MTF in our sport, because it's kind of, she hasn't had she's not pumping out, Barshes and you anymore right now at this second, but the MTF was a legacy. This place was like one of the original badass training camps for kids. And you grew up there in a trailer.
Yeah, it was. It still is. It's awesome. I think it's definitely gotten harder for training facilities to get the top-notch riders, because there's been so many open up and stuff, and a lot of teams and stuff want you to have like your own trainer instead of a training facility. But man, a story. I have a lot of stories. I don't even know where to start. One that comes to my mind is just like kind of shows like how gritty she is, you know, like just how like gnarly. So we went to back in the day, she used to take 2 guys every year and race the Australian Junior Championship. Okay. So it's like kind of like the Australian, like their Loretta's kind of. And so like it started out with Piers and Savachi, and then Savachi and Dakota Alex went. And then in 2011, I think it was, me and Keith Tucker went out there. So we got there, we get two different cars, in Australia, you drive on the opposite side of the road. So Colleen and my mom took one car, and me, Keith, and our mechanic, Eric, took the other. Well, Colleen's like, do we need to get the GPS whenever we got the rental cars?
Yeah.
Like, do we need to get GPS? Because I think our phones didn't work there or something. Or maybe it was before iPhones had maps on them. I don't really remember.
I'm sure.
But anyways, we didn't have maps on our phone.
No navigation.
We're like, no, like we're good. We got directions. We had directions on this paper. So anyways, it's kind of a long story, but I'll try and shorten it up best I can. We basically she gave us the directions. They're following us. So we're going and we're trying to follow these directions. It's kind of like, what was it? Was it called MapQuest or something?
Yeah,
where it would
MapQuest,
tell you like in a mile you turn here. So it told us that we were Keith and Eric were not reading these directions correctly, and I tried to tell them, but they didn't listen to me. So we took a wrong turn. So we get back going the way we're going. They're still following us. We missed an exit. So we go to this like little like strip mall thing, and we pull into the parking lot, and we're like, hey, we missed our exit. We're like right up here. We're going to get off and go left. And they're like, okay, cool. Remember, it's Colleen and my mom in the car behind us. We go out, they get stuck. They didn't turn out right behind us. So we get off this exit, and we're waiting at the light, waiting. Don't see him. Don't see him. We're like, oh no. Like, and we didn't have phone service, so we couldn't call them at all. That's what it was, that we didn't have any phone service. So we couldn't call them, couldn't text them, nothing. They don't even have the address, I don't think. And we're like, oh, where are they at? So we go straight. We're like looking for them. We see them at a stoplight ahead of us, but we couldn't get through the stoplight in time. Then we saw them in a parking lot, and we tried to get to them, couldn't get to them in time. Eventually we lost them, couldn't see them anymore, didn't know where they went. So we're like, well, we're just going to go, and I guess they'll figure it out. So we go, we're driving, we get lost. Like we take one more wrong turn.
My God.
We finally get to the hotel. It was more like a motel. And we get there and we go into the office to check in. Who's standing in there? Colleen and my mom are already there, and they had no directions and they didn't even have, she just remembered the name of the hotel that we were staying in. Directions, yeah. And she stopped somewhere, figured out the directions, and beat us there. And we were like, we thought we might never see you guys again. Like, how did y'all beat us here?
I just can't believe that you let your mom just in another country, like they'll just figure that shit out, dude. That is gnarly.
We had no other choice. We couldn't find. They were probably already halfway there. We didn't even know it.
You're like, Dad, what happened? What happened to your mom? We lost her. I mean, it's a big country. I mean, I'm sorry.
It was interesting.
I thought you were going to tell me you walked into the hotel lobby and then you just got punched right in the face. Colleen just wound up and punched you all right in the face. Got there first.
No, she was basically like, she's like, what took you guys so long? And we're like, how did you get here?
Women get the bad rap for directions, and here you are. You guys are idiots. Got lost 4 times with the shit in your hand.
Yep. She said, I told you we should have got the GPS. We're like, no, you asked if we needed GPS. We said no. We got here.
That's awesome. Well, dude, it's been great catching up. How pumped we are for you. RJ, you guys that are both cut from the same cloth. This great dudes, ambassadors of the sport, have always represented your teams and your sport so well. It's great to see you guys battling for this championship. You've definitely earned that. Congrats on the red plate going into after 4 rounds, man. Good luck the rest of the way out. We've got your back all the way through, and just thanks for catching up.
Thank you, man. Thank you, David. It's good. It's always good to get on here, and miss talking to Kevin, but it's a good time, man. Thank you.
All right, good. We'll talk to you soon. Let's get that our golf league going for Augusta. It's coming up here before we know. We got to start getting dialed in for that. We'll get it going. I'll take your money. Yeah, you know what? It reminds me. You were talking shit the last time because it was down like 3 or 4. And you were getting cocky because you're winning consecutive weeks. So yeah, I've got some vengeance coming your way too. I'm going to freeze your ass come Augusta. All right, thanks, Jordan. Have a good night, brother.
All right,
peace.
Talk to you later.
All right, there we go. Jordon Smith. Start Racing, Yamaha switches teams after his with the stuff with Kawasaki after his injuries. Man, it's so good to see these guys on top. Looks like and Garrett Marchbanks. Let's not discount him completely. We got Kitchen, Smith, RJ, and Marchbanks there. And then it's pretty far back to the fifth rider. So it looks like it's going to be pretty good. We got our East Coast guys coming up, which will be always going to be fun. I'm a little bit sour though because Atlanta is not in. I can't even imagine this. How can you print a Supercross schedule, not have Atlanta on the schedule? But we got bumped this year, so we are very bummed, being basically one of the legacy cities forever and ever. We understand the logistics of that, so we're not as happy about the East Coast as this. But we do have Ricky Carmichael's Amateur Supercross coming up. Of course, all of the Loretta's qualifiers will be down there covering both of those events. So, guys, thanks for checking us out this week again. Adam Cincerello, Cooper Webb, RJ Hampshire. We're going to drop this. Jordan, we got. I'm trying to get DeCoster back on. We texting back and forth with him, so hopefully we'll get that knocked out soon. We haven't had him on in a little bit, but thank you to all our sponsors who make us possible. Ride Dunlop. Dunlop tires, the best in the business. Amateur, pro, whatever it is, they are dominating. Racer X, MX Sports, great Morgan, West Virginia folks. W Wheels, Ojo, Concept 2 Rowers. Thank you guys for listening and. As always, we're back when we're back. So DMXS, peace.
You got a helmet? Oh, I've got a helmet. I got a beauty.
The Dead Motocrosser Society.
Get ready, America, because WUSA is your #1 source for quality wheel sets in America. WUSA offers all the top brands that you and the world's best racers know and trust, like Reed, Dungy, Millsaps, Tickle, Sealy, Short, and more. All rely and trust WUSA, because all our wheels are built right in our shop in Orange, California. And if you wanted custom made for your bike, like the world's best freestyle riders, Renner, Deegan, Adams, Madison, Mason, Sherwood, and others, you can choose different spoke and nipple colors for a completely custom look that'll dazzle you. Off-road riding, WUSA can build you wheels for the absolute toughest of conditions. And W also offers DID and Excel rims, along with OEM replacement spoke and nipple kits for your stock hubs. Need brakes? W offers the industry's best oversized and standard brake kits from Galfer and Brembo. Just see your local dealer or visit us at WUSA.com. Hey, you can also download the most current W catalog from the iTunes App Store. WUSA, DUBYA USA. It doesn't get any better than us.
You listen to us because we are motorcycle guys. You might even call us gurus. We are awesome.
I've been called a lot worse than that, Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, we're the guys. We know everything. I know everything about you. I know everything about movies. I know everything about the space shuttle launches and the crashes. Everything.
And because you turn to us for motorcycle knowledge, we only tell you about what's the best, Kevin, because our spotless reputation that we've built for 16 years is on the line. That's why.
Yeah, and I would not risk my crappy reputation on just anybody. That's why we are telling you about Dunlop tires. It's what we have on our bikes. I have a fleet of motorcycles, and they all have fresh, crispy Dunlops on them. If the pros have them, you know us amateurs are going to have them. They're good enough for them. They got to think they're good enough for us dorks.
Too good for Dunlops? You're a tire snob. We want nothing to do with you.
Yeah, good luck with that. But not just the pros use them. Everyday riders agree, and they have the testing to back it up. You can't beat the quality of Dunlop motorcycle tires.
Let's wrap this bad boy up, Kevin. Whether you're on the dirt, the road, or the track, you can depend on Dunlop. To learn more about their products, visit DunlopMotorcycleTires.com or your local pro dealer. The amateur guys are working their way up. Go to a Dunlop pro dealer. Check them out. We love them. You will too.